Hello everyone, I'm Liv here, back again with another Awaken Chaos Era video guide. So in today's video, I'll be doing a guide on the Cube versus Environment talents so that you'll know which are the optimized talents to be used for a particular team or a particular scenario in order to clear the flaws quickly so that you can move up to the flaws at a quicker rate so that you can get more rewards. So let's head over there. So we'll click guild, click on battle, and then click on the ruins of gods. So currently my guild is on guild 5 and we have already collected all of the talents here. And as you can see, in order to access the talents, you'll need to click on the third button at the bottom left hand corner here. And then you can notice every level there's 3 options or 3 talents that we can choose. You can choose one of it, and as you can see here, we have around about like 5 tiers or 5 levels of talents, and for each tier you can only select one of the 3 talents. So let me walk you through each of these talents, what are their pros and cons, and which one I highly recommend you to use them. So to give you some background, in order to unlock one relic, you need to collect 10 ancient relics. So as you notice here, each tier, right, you need at least like 10 ancient relics. So for the first tier, you need to collect 10 ancient relics, and the subsequent tiers you need another 10, followed by the third tier you need 30, and the fourth tier you need 40, and the last and the final tier, which is 50, you need 50 ancient relics. So where do we collect these ancient relics? Is basically you will need to like complete the raid marker. Let me find I think it's already covered all of them. So in every floors, right, there's only a maximum of 50 ancient relics. Same goes with the medium relics. Let me try to spot them. This is small relic. Small. I remember there's some ancient one. This medium. Alright, like this one. This is the ancient relic. So you'll need to like clear this ancient relic so that you'll be able to get a lot of ancient relics to unlock those talents. Alright, so let me go through each of these talents and explain to you what the talent does and how they're used. So the first talent in the first tier is known as the Battle Spirit Unleash. So this talent grants at the start of the battle 50% attack, 50% critical damage, 50% speed, and all of these 3 stats, attack, critical damage, and speed, will decrease 5% per turn. Alright, so basically you want to use this if your team isn't able to last long in the battle. So for instance, right, if your team isn't able to last more than like 5 rounds or more than 7 rounds, probably you use this to maximize your damage output that your team can do. Alright, because right, the longer the battle goes, the less damage stats you will get from these 3 stats here. Alright, the second talent on the first tier will be Kiss of Death. Basically, your attacks increase the chance of a bonus turn to 10% per negative effect affecting the target, can be triggered once every 1 round. So basically, what it means, right, to gain the bonus turn, you need to apply the negative effect on the enemy. And in order to do that, you need to use heroes that can apply negative effects, such as like Abaddon. Wait, let me show you some heroes. So let me select one of these, click battle. Alright, so the heroes that most commonly people use to apply the buff would be like, let's try out one. The first one would be Abaddon, because Abaddon, right, he can apply random stats negative effects on his basic, which is this one. So if the enemy has like 4, or let's say if the enemy has 5 negative effect on him, that means your hero that attacks that enemy has a 50% chance to gain a bonus turn. Alright, so Abaddon is one of the most used or most sought after hero for most players in order to deal high amount of damage with the bonus turn. And I think it's not only him. There's also epic heroes. If let's say if you do not have like Abaddon, you can go with like epic heroes such as Okobi. Okobi is the one of the, I think, Crisis faction. Where is this guy? The guy is hiding somewhere. Alright, this guy. So this guy is also capable of applying lots of negative effects through his abilities here. Dance of the Forsaken, his ultimate ability, inflicts bleeding, ignite poison, and at any point of time, if your heroes apply negative effect, it also applies a random negative effect similar to Abaddon. Alright. So these are two of the most common heroes that are used. And also you can use Epina. Epina is also like a somewhat mini version of Abaddon. You can apply the random stats down as well. So you just need to look for heroes that can apply negative effects to make use of the Kiss of Death talent. And Kiss of Death is much better compared to these two talents because bonus turn will allow you to reduce your skill cooldown by 1 turn quickly, as well as allows you to deal more damage per round. Alright. So I highly recommend you to use this if your account has those heroes that is capable of applying lots of debuff like Bachelet, Scarlet. Poison hero is not recommended in this guild versus environment because most of the enemies here are immune to poison damage. Alright. And the next talent here is Thunder Punishment. Grants critical damage up per ability cast until the end of the round, max 5 stacks. And this buff is a unique buff that is unremovable. And you can know that by having, if the buff icon is yellow color. So most probably you will have like 50% critical damage. Okay. So if you don't have debuffers on your account, then the next best talent will be Thunder Punishment. Otherwise, you use Battle Spirit. But most cases, you use Kiss of Death. Alright, so the second tier talent will be Berserk Spirit, Fearless Mind, and Resilience. So let's go on with the first one, Berserk Spirit. So Berserk Spirit is like a very straightforward talent that just grants 20% hero attack. Nothing special here. So I highly recommend you to get this talent to deal maximum amount of damage to the enemies. And the second one will be Fearless Mind. It just increases your hero speed by 20%. If your heroes are pretty slow, then you can use this, but most probably if you're already end game player, your hero speed is like around about, I think it meets the standard of the 160 speed, which is like the one in the Void Tower Heart. So most probably you will not need the additional speed here. And for the third one, Resilience, basically just increase your hero's defense by 20%. So assuming that if your heroes aren't able to sustain from the enemy attacks, probably you can use Resilience so that you can last longer in the battle, last around about 10 rounds to deal more damage. Or if your heroes are able to survive those enemy attacks, then most probably I will recommend you to go for Berserk Spirit. So the least used will be Fearless Mind. So the first option will be Berserk Spirit, second will be Resilience, and third will be Fearless Mind. Alright. And the third tier talent will be Blood Curse, Blessing from the Gods, and Holy Hourglass. For Blood Curse, basically it reduces the enemy max health at the start of an element guard tower battle by 1%. So basically, right, if your account does not have strong heroes to deal high amount of damage, you can use this to reduce the boss mini boss tower health. This one applies to the 4 towers, as you can see here, which is surrounding the center boss here. Basically, this is the mini boss tower. There are 4 types. The first one will be the water, and the second one will be the shadow captive, the dark one. Okay, then the third one will be the fire dragon here. And the fourth one would be the light tower. Alright, so there's an interesting story about this Black Curse where during the first season of the Guild versus environment, there's a guild that uses this to their advantage where they recruit a new member. Maybe it's like a low level member that doesn't have any good heroes on the team. So they have these new members, right? They do battle against this mini boss tower and they spend their 2 keys per day, and each key reduces 1% of the mini boss health. So can you imagine that if the guild keep on recruiting new members to reduce the boss health and then kick them up and replace them with new members? This is one way that how they speedrun the mini boss tower during that period. So after this was discovered, I think the Ace developers already blocked it by preventing the guild members. I think they added like a 24 hours period where they cannot they were not able to do the guild versus environment for 24 hours once they join the new guild. Something like that is to prevent this from happening. Alright, and for the next talent in the 3rd tier will be Blessing from the Gods. So what does this talent do? Basically it grants a shield with strength equal to 20% of max health to all heroes at the start of every round. This one has some pros and cons because if your heroes are much faster than the enemies, once your heroes perform an attack, the shield will be lost because the shield only has like one turn buff duration. So in order to make use of this shield provided by this talent, you need to make your heroes slower than the enemies. So let's say if the enemy speed is 150 and your hero speed is below 150, then this shield will protect them from receiving damage, especially when you do not have any healers on your team to provide healing to your heroes. So you can have like 4 attacker heroes to deal damage rather than having 3 attacker heroes with 1 healer or shielder. Alright, and the 3rd tier talent would be Holy Hourglass. Basically this one increases the round limit from 10 rounds to 15 rounds. So let's say assuming that you're not able to do much damage to the boss within 10 rounds, you can use this additional 5 rounds to your advantage to do more damage. But take note that within the 15 rounds, your time limit will be still 10 minutes. It's restricted to 10 minutes is because it's to allow other players in your guild to be able to also perform battle on the same target or same tile or same boss. So based from these 3 talents in this tier 3, the best one would be to select the Holy Hourglass. This one is useful to clear out ancient relics, medium relics and small relics easily. And then it also allows you to deal more damage to the mini boss towers. Alright. However, this Holy Hourglass is not really useful against the big boss. Reason being, once the boss, the big boss in the center of the map reaches to round 10, he will generate a super large shield, which is quite difficult for your heroes to break it. It's literally impossible to break it. So instead of choosing the Holy Hourglass, what I would recommend you is to go for either Blessing from the Gods. So you build your heroes slower but with more attack stats to deal a maximum amount of damage within that 10 rounds. And for Black Curse, basically is somewhat useful if your account does not have much good heroes against the mini boss tower. For the Black Curse, it's mostly used for the mini boss tower. For the Holy Hourglass, you can use mostly everywhere, except for one certain part where the boss health drops below, the big boss health drop below 20%, then you can't use this. And then the next best option would be Blessing from the Gods. Alright. Moving on to the 4th tier talent, we have Vulcan's Fury, Titan's Destiny, and Divine Rhythm. So for the first one, Vulcan Fury, basically it increases all of your heroes' critical damage by 30%, quite straightforward. So in order to do more damage to the enemies, your attacker heroes required to have at least 100% critical rate, so they will do maximum amount of critical damage. And for the next talent in the 4th tier, we have the Titan's Destiny. Basically this increases your hero's max health by 30%, which is somewhat useful in order to sustain during the battle. And last but not least, there's the Divine Rhythm. This one increases the hero's agility by 30, so they'll be able to deflect the attack and reduce the enemy's damage by 50%. However, I think the Ace developers already nerfed the agility stats. I think few months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. So this agility is not so useful right now. So the best option within this 4th tier would be the Vulcan's Fairy to deal maximum amount of damage to the mini boss, boss, and as well as all of the enemies. Then followed by Titan's Destiny if your heroes are not able to tank the damage. And Divine Rhythm is highly not recommended to be chosen because it does not provide much benefit, because this one is like an RNG that sometimes you can't guarantee whether it is able to deflect the attacks or not. Alright. And moving on to the 5th and last tier in this talent list, we have the Order of the Gods, Mark of the God of War, and Divine Possession. So for the Order of the Gods, this one increases basically your attacks deals 30% more damage for each enemy hit. So if there's a cluster of enemies, basically usually this one is good for clearing a lot of mobs of enemies, then your heroes will deal more damage. And the second one would be Mark of the God of War. Grants all heroes attack up at the start of each round, stackable up to 10 times. This attack up buff is unremovable. If you want to do more damage, you can select this skill. This one works very well for like Bachelor, Scarlet, Bulin, those heroes that deals damage based on their attack stats. Like Ignite, I think Bleeding and Ignite deals damage based on their attack stats. And finally, we have the Divine Possession. The Divine Possession ignores 50% of the target's defense when attacking with over 50% health. So which of these 3 talents in the 5th tier is good? Probably I will select this Divine Possession, because if you are able to ignore their defense paired with the 30% defense down from the Sundering Purgatory, that is like 80% defense down and you deal more damage throughout the run. However, this Divine Possession talent will only activate if your heroes have over 50% health. So do take note that in mind. If you're not able to sustain your hero's health for over 50% health, I highly recommend you to get the Mark of the God of the War to increase your damage by 10% each round. Once you reach like 9 rounds, you'll be 90% attack. But best is to go with the Divine Possession for the damage output. For the Order of the Gods, this one is most likely used when you're dealing with a cluster of enemies. So if you're only hitting one enemy, it's only 30%. If you're hitting 3 enemies, that would be 90% more damage. So this one depends on which scenario you're using. So if the tile has only one enemy, go for the Divine Possession. If you're unable to keep up their health above 50%, choose the Mark of the God. However, your damage output will be significantly lower because this one requires your damage to be ramped up. Whereas for the Order of the Gods, you can use this if you're clearing a lot of enemies at one go. This one probably you want to use your AoE attackers. To recap on the talents that I highly recommend, the first one would be Kiss of Death, because Kiss of Death allows my heroes to gain a bonus turn per round, and this will allow you to quickly reduce your hero skill cooldown by 1 turn, especially for your supporter heroes. Oh yeah, and a new tip for you guys is, if your supporter heroes are providing like healing, such as like Florence, I highly recommend you to enable her to deal an attack first, so that she gains an additional turn, and then only perform her like ultimate ability or special ability. This will help her to reduce her cooldown quickly and also heal up your allies much more faster. But the downside is you need to pair them with a debuffer. So do take note that in mind. In order to make use of Kiss of Death, you need a debuffer hero such as like Abaddon, Epina, Okobi, those heroes that can apply AoE debuff. The second best talent that I highly recommend would be Berserk Spirit because it increases your hero's damage output by 20%. If you're not able to sustain, then you can select the one that provides additional defense like this one, Resilience, 20% hero defense from this Resilience. Okay. The third best talent for the third tier would be the Holy Hourglass. It's useful for almost all for all areas in the guild versus environment because it increases the round from 10 rounds to the 15 rounds. But do take note that in mind that you are still restricted to the 10 minutes per battle because it allows the other players in queue to also perform the same battle towards the same boss or same relic or same mini boss tower. And the fourth tier talent that I highly recommend would be the Vulcan's Fury because it increases your damage dealers critical damage output by 30%. And if your heroes are not able to sustain during the battle, then the next best option would be the Titan's Destiny that increases your heroes max health by 30%. And last but not least, the fifth tier talent would be the Divine Possession because it allows your damage dealers to ignore 50% of the target's defense and attacking. However, this one will only benefit if your heroes health can be sustained over 50%. You need to pair them with a healer or a person that can provide shield. This one can be best paired with the Blessing from the Gods that grants 20% max health shield to all heroes at the start of the turn. However, do take note that this one only benefits if your heroes are slower than the enemy. Most of the enemies there I think is around 150 speed. So you need to make your attacker hero slower than that in order to make use of this Blessing from the God Shield. And the next best option would be the Mark of the God of War, but the damage output will be slightly less because it only ramps up once you are able to sustain even longer in the battle. If you want to clear those side minions quickly at the big boss, I highly recommend you to get the Order of the Gods so that you would be able to deal additional damage to them. But the one that is most flexible would be the Divine Possession. So these are the 5 talents that I recommend for you guys to use to deal maximum amount of damage to the enemies. Alright, so that's the end of my video. If you found this video helpful, do give this video a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this video content, click on the subscribe button to see more videos like this. And if you'd like to get notified whenever I upload a new video to this channel, click on the notification bell to stay up to date. And if you'd like to learn more about Awaken Chaos Era, you can visit my website at ayumilove.net. If you'd like to support my work, you can directly donate to my PayPal account, or you can become a patron by subscribing at my Patreon site at patreon.com/ayumilove. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!